Hi folks, welcome back here to my whiskey channel, Whiskey Wismar. I'm Christopher, and today here on my table I have two Glendronachs. One is the 16-year-old Boynsmill travel retail, bottled with 46% ABV, and then the new Master Vintage, one of the bespoke 1993 vintages, not a single cask however, but a vetting of PX and Oloroso casks aged for 25 years and vetting strength, presumably of 48.2%. Price wise, well, first of all, I did not research these two all that well. I got these through a bottle split, and all I know that this was released quite recently, and don't even know the price. No idea how much this runs. The Master Vintage, approximately 220, 230 euros, and yeah, 25 years of age, as I said, 16, 25. So, what I'll do now, I'll give you a first impression. This is not a proper review with all detailed tasting notes that I wrote down beforehand, that I took a lot of time writing them, compiling them, but instead just very quick assessment of these two whiskies. I'll start by nosing these two, then tasting them and try to come up with a sensible way to describe the finish. Okay, and afterwards I give you a first guess or first impression where these could land on my rating scale. So 100-point rating scale, and yeah. So nosing them, what can we find here in this 16-year-old Boynsmill? A blast of vanilla, all kinds of toffees, fudge, caramel, plenty caramel, yeah, liquid Virtus original. Presumably some oranges, apples, but all very ripe, very sweet. Probably PX in the mix as well. No idea about the composition of this, what kind of cask they used. What is, however, visible is the color. So both rather beautiful, golden color. The Master Vintage is a shade darker, yeah, minute bit. So both gold, yeah, a little bit darker here. All in all, but not in the range of calling this, dark first fill sherry monsters. Not at all, and suggesting by the nose, far from it. Kurkuma, definitely kurkuma, and big associations, very strong associations of bourbon wood. But not just any refill hogshead or whatever. This is as virgin oak as it gets, yeah. Without any of the acidity and the varnishy notes that you have in some bourbon whiskey. So all in all, rather nice nose, very unlikely for really sherry forward Glendronach. But this is just a shade of it, one different perspective on maybe refill PX sherry casks, I presume, judging by the color. Could be refill, rejuvenated, something like this, just guessing here. Quite nice, even though it's a little bit, somewhat unlikely and atypical. Now, the Master Vintage. Much more in line with what you expect from a Glendronach. Very deep, very dark. Good dose of sweetness in the mix, then lots of prunes, plums, figs. Good deal of spiciness there from the oak. Old dusty tomes, mahogany furniture that's been polished with all kinds of furnishings. Great nose. And this gets now more oriental if you nose them side by side. Almost classic Glendronach, reminding me of some of the 1993s or 1995 single casks. And this now, like an interesting curry sauce, yeah, made with lots of curcuma and coconut milk. Very different. So, for the taste. Not outright continuing what the nose suggests. So on the mouth, on the palate, is more straightforward vanilla caramel honeyed oak. Ticks all the boxes. Yeah, it's a very pleasant malt to drink. 46% is very well mannered, and yeah, oak almost indistinguishable. It's there somewhere, but no bitterness whatsoever. Some juicy and sweet undertones there, but caramel, maybe oranges, but caramel, vanilla, and toffee is the most striking characteristic. Okay, let's try for the finish. Medium long. Yeah, the oak asserts itself a little more now. Some mint, mentholated oak, more honey. The tiniest bit of bitterness, but overall still rather sweet, accessible, pleasant, easy drinking. The nose, however, shines here. The palate is alright, it's decent. Now let's give this Master Vintage a taste. Nose also still very expressive. Same deal. The palate is cannot keep up with the nose, although a bit more compared to the Boynsmill. So you still have dried fruit, lots of figs, prunes, and raisins here. Some of this juicy Glendronachness that you would find in the 18-year-old as well. Yeah, and then as well, hardly any bitterness. Tiny bit more, of course. It's 9 years older, at least. All in all, just as pleasant, although not the impact I would have hoped for 25 years old Glendronach, and yeah, still rather nice though. Now for the finish. We'll definitely need more time with this. This possibly as well. I think there's a little bit little chameleon hiding in here. Not revealing all its secrets yet. Finish here for the Master Vintage medium long. Some overbrewed tea components, tiny bit of bitterness now. Black tea, green teas, but still very overt sweetness all the way to the end. Still present. But now it fades. eventually. Decent finish on both of these. So, what would I rate them? As I said, no accurate rating yet. We'll need more time with these two, but both of them eclipsing 85 points easily. This one, I certainly below 90 still, but 87 to 89, somewhere around those lines. Here the spread, potential spread a little higher, so 85 to 89 points. Not yet reaching 90s. Possibly. I think there's greatness in this, but I will need more time with this malt. Maybe dilute it even a little bit. This one stands out for being sort of surprising, very bourbony, but very sweet and vanillad. And then this sort of a callback to some of the single casks and good Allardyce batches. Way too expensive though, 230 euros. Then again, it is 25 years of age, Glendronach. Okay. Both very decent whiskies. If you can find one of them or taste them, give it a try. Certainly not a dud, even though this is travel retail, and travel retail, yeah, it's sometimes more often than not rather a miss than a hit. I hope you enjoyed this, and then I'll see you next time for another review here on my table. Maybe another Glendronach. I still have a very nice selection of awesome Bruichladdich or Springbanks here. We'll see what comes next. I hope you will have a great week, and then I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.